Hi guys. So for a little while, I've had discourse going on my TikTok about disability and my disability specifically, and I kind of put something out there today to see if anybody would want to hear me talk about the forced poverty that goes along with disability and how the idea of fierce independence in the United States, or the idea that you should be able to solely support yourself without any interconnectivity, really pushes people who are disabled down. Uh, and so, the way I want to go about this a little bit is talk a little bit about specifically my struggle through disability, right? But I also know that my struggle and my story isn't unique. There's statistics to go along with that, but I haven't done much research. This was really just a stream of consciousness amongst friends, right? So, currently, right now, I live with my parents. I live with my parents because I can't take care of my own needs, be that shopping for myself. I can't do chores and stuff. Standing around is not something I can do. It's very difficult for me to move. I have picked up a side hustle because of what we're about to talk about. So, I have hypermobility syndrome, and most likely I have HEDS. So what that means is I can dislocate everything. It goes out, that type of thing, right? So my whole body does this. On top of this, because of my HEDS, I also have degenerative disc disease. So the way that people with disability are supported in this country is that they're either supported by the government, which we have paid into, right? Or they're taken care of by the state entirely, or they're taken care of by their family, and that's usually amongst wealthy families. I'm poor. I've never had wealth in my life, and my family has been upper middle class at most to lower middle class. I have a lot of structural things in my family that have led towards a downturn rather than an upturn. Okay, cool. Most people can get around that. Well, I currently have both SSI and SSDI. One of those is supplemental income to cover the other. So the total between those two that I get is $803. I also am currently on TANF because I have a kiddo. I have a kiddo whose DNA donor should be providing consistent child support, but doesn't. So I have applied for TANF, which is a 2-year subsidy. That's all you can get it for, is 2 years in your whole entire life. So my original balance of money is $803. I get an additional $324 on my TANF, bringing me up to $1,100 or so dollars. I have, quite literally, without paying mortgage or much rent, because I split the rent I have here, but not a lot, but for paying for things like the internet and my car and other things, which technically I'm not allowed to own that car on my own. I pay for it. My parents have to be on it, but if I own it, it counts as money of mine, right? And with Social Security, you're only allowed to have $2,000, period. That's the max amount of assets you can have. So a car that costs more than $2,000 counts against that, and they reduce your amount you get because of that. No one can live on $800. My bills coming out right now are currently at $800, even just a little bit under. And that leaves me with, if I didn't have TANF, roughly $10 a month. That's just whatever money, right? So, and that doesn't include the fact that I get food stamps. That's entirely separate. So all of that money goes to bills. There's nothing there that goes to a lot of extra odds and ends. Also, on this same tangent, America has been trained that if we are Americans, we are independent. We don't count on anybody. We're not supposed to count on the government. We're not supposed to count on our fellow man. All of those types of things, right? We are supposed to sustain ourselves 100% of the time on our own abilities, right? You're not supposed to ask for handouts. You're supposed to be completely self-sustainable. So what does that do with people with disabilities who can't do that? What does that make us go through? Well, to be quite frank, I don't feel like an adult. I'm infantilized often. I don't get the ability to make my own choices because I have to live interdependent with family members. And to say that our relationship is tumultuous can sometimes be very stark under exaggeration, because both of my parents also technically qualify for disability. My father was in the military, stepfather was in the military and hurt his back. My mom has chronic fatigue syndrome and a couple other things, and possibly some autoimmune stuff like I do, right? So, but they were raised in a different time where you push through and you didn't ask for help and you didn't do things until you couldn't. I became until I couldn't in 2015. 2015, I had acute renal failure and was life flighted and intubated. Since then, my gradual decline has increased, and now I'm lucky if I can stand or walk or do any of the things that get you a job for longer than 10 minutes. So those two in combination lead to things where, like, we have this hustle economy, right? Like, and for most people, they still have this hustle economy, even if they're not disabled. We are told to do extra work on top of, if you're low income, work doesn't give you all the money, pick up a side hustle, learn how to code, learn how to do YouTube and earn money off of YouTube. What do you do when you can't sustain that? What do you do when your side hustle hurts you? What do you do when the government finds out that you have a side hustle and then takes all of that money away from you? How do you navigate that, right? I currently am making masks for people. I have one mask for myself. I have made over 150 since the virus started. I know people who are not disabled who have made thousands of masks. I can make 2 a day if I'm lucky, because my hands dislocate. And I also am not the fastest sewer. I have things that inhibit me from actually doing things. And the government looks upon my selling masks as me cheating the government out of funds. Funds that don't pay for my life. Funds that could not pay for anybody to live a decent life. The max that you can get right now, if you haven't worked a long length of time on your regular Social Security, so full lifetime till retirement, full time, no breaks till retirement, is $508. $508. That's before any supplemental income. My supplemental income is what brings it up to the $803. $803 isn't enough to get a house, pay for gas, and or a car. And if you do those two things, you've got no money for anything else, right? But we're expecting people to live on this. And when we expect that, that's when people buy cat food, because it's cheaper than regular food. It's when the way that we ask for this to be supplemented is asininely crazy. And then, okay, so you got all that, right? The fact that I live with my family, I'm extremely lucky. My mom is the manager of this trailer park, because I do actually pay rent and I go through all of the company stuff. But technically, if we were living in the same abode and they owned it, I would be fucked, because it would be counted as a gift in kind. So then they would take more money away from me, because I'm not paying rent to them, even if I am paying rent to them, which I am. All of this to say, the government purposely uses monetary support to hurt people with disabilities. And then society tells us we should be able to overcome our disabilities and still work through and find that little niche that like is just our spot. And who cares if you hurt all the time, or who cares if you're sick all the time? We can't live like this. We can't do this to our people. We've got to support them. Like you I can't live paycheck to paycheck and also be able to give my child a life of any sort. My kid is going to be stuck in poverty for the rest of their lives because the government doesn't want to do anything like a UBI, or like universal basic income is the best thing we could do for our nation, and it would allow for progress, but we don't want to do that because that's sustaining people who are lazy. I'm not fucking lazy. I hear it all the time from people who are in my life. Well, we're just lazy. We don't like doing chores. I'm not lazy. I can't do it. I would love to. I would love to go back to work. I would love to be able to sit in an office and be around people and not have been isolated since November of last year. This is really a rant, but like, there's no way to budget what you get with Social Security into a life that sustains anything more than constant poverty, anything more than just doing nothing. Not even like it's ridiculous, and we find this okay. Like, people don't even question, just like we don't question, the hustle idea. Get a side hustle, just do this. I did just do this. I just got stuff to make masks. I make masks for people. You know what's really fun? If I work on masks for more than 2 days, my hands are so crippled I can't do anything. How are you supposed to get ahead? And how am I, as an almost 40-year-old person, supposed to support anything around me? I'm not. I'm supposed to be a drain. I'm supposed to be something that makes people look at me in disgust. Or if I was to magically get money and find a way to fix everything, I would be this super inspiration. Fuck you. Like, really? I'm not going to be your disability porn, and I'm not a fucking burden. I'm a human. So take care of me like I'm a human. It's not hard.